The silent invasion. Intelligence Officer Aria Valentine stared at her holographic display, her heart pounding against her ribcage. The data patterns she'd been tracking for months finally made sense, and the truth was more terrifying than any conspiracy theory she'd ever encountered. They weren't alone in the universe. They never had been. And their first contact wasn't going to be a peaceful one. The Krivith Empire had already arrived. Aria's fingers flew across the quantum interface as she compiled her evidence. Strange atmospheric anomalies over major cities. Unexplained gaps in global surveillance networks. Peculiar behavior patterns among high-ranking government officials worldwide. Seemingly unrelated pieces that formed a chilling picture when assembled correctly. Command isn't going to believe this, she muttered, running a hand through her silver-streaked black hair. At 45, Aria had spent 2 decades in military intelligence, building a reputation for uncovering patterns others missed. But this discovery would test every ounce of credibility she'd earned. The encrypted message from her source on Jupiter Station had been the final piece. The Astronomical Research Facility had detected quantum signatures matching no known human technology, signatures that appeared simultaneously in 12 major cities across Earth. The Krivith weren't planning an invasion, they were already here, hiding in plain sight. Aria's research had revealed fragments about the Krivith Empire from intercepted deep space transmissions. They were methodical conquerors who preferred subterfuge to direct confrontation, infiltrating civilizations through their leadership structures before revealing themselves. By then, resistance was usually futile. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Her office door slid open, revealing Director James Hammond, her immediate superior. His face wore its usual stern expression, but something about his eyes seemed different. "Officer Valentine. Working late again?" Aria casually minimized her displays. "Just following up on some anomalous patterns, sir. Nothing concrete yet." Hammond walked to her desk, his footsteps eerily silent on the metallic floor. "You've always been one of our best pattern analysts, Valentine. Perhaps too good." The hairs on the back of Aria's neck stood up. She'd known Hammond for 15 years, but something in his voice set off every alarm in her mind. Her hand slowly moved toward the quantum drive containing her evidence. "I'm flattered, sir, but I'm just doing my job." Hammond smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Indeed. And that's why we've been watching you so carefully. You've begun to see things you weren't meant to see." The air in the room seemed to grow colder. Aria's fingers closed around the quantum drive just as Hammond's form began to shimmer, his human appearance dissolving like mist to reveal a tall, angular being with iridescent gray skin and multifaceted eyes. Aria moved with the speed of decades of combat training. She grabbed the drive, kicked her chair into the transformed Hammond, and dove through her office's glass wall. The reinforced glass shattered around her as emergency sirens began to wail. She hit the ground rolling, ignoring the cuts and bruises. The quantum drive felt warm in her hand as she sprinted down the corridor. Behind her, she heard Hammond, or whatever he really was, giving orders in a language that hurt her ears. The facility's lights shifted to red as security protocols engaged. Aria's mind raced through evacuation scenarios, but she knew standard procedures wouldn't help. If Hammond was compromised, others would be too. She needed to get her evidence to someone who could act on it, someone outside the normal chain of command. She reached the emergency stairs just as energy bolts began scorching the walls around her. The weapons were unlike anything in Earth's arsenal, confirming her worst fears. The Krivith were done hiding. Aria vaulted down the stairs, her tactical implants feeding her real-time data about pursuit patterns and escape routes. The quantum drive contained everything she'd discovered about the infiltration, including the Krivith's weaknesses. If she could get it to the right people, humanity might have a chance. She burst through the stairwell door into the underground parking facility, her footsteps echoing off concrete walls. Her personal transport was 3 rows away, its quantum engine capable of outrunning anything on Earth. If she could reach it. A shimmer in the air made her dive behind a column. Where the shimmer had been, another Krivith materialized, its crystalline weapon aimed at her position. They were using some kind of cloaking technology. "Your persistence is admirable, Officer Valentine," Hammond's voice echoed through the garage, distorted and inhuman now. "But surely you understand the futility of resistance. The Krivith Empire has conquered 1,000 worlds. Earth will be no different." Arya checked her options. The column provided cover, but she was trapped. The transport was still 30 meters away, with unknown numbers of cloaked Krivith between her and freedom. She touched the quantum drive, feeling its warmth. Inside was humanity's best chance for survival, but it would mean nothing if she died here. She needed a distraction. Her tactical implants highlighted structural weaknesses in the garage's support columns. One well-placed shot could bring down enough concrete to cover her escape. But her sidearm's power cell would need to be overloaded to generate sufficient force. "You're wrong about Earth," she called out, removing her weapon's power cell. "We're different. We don't submit easily." "All species say that," Hammond replied. "All species fall." Arya smiled grimly. "We'll see about that." She threw her overloaded power cell at the nearest support column and ran. The explosion rocked the entire facility, bringing down chunks of concrete and filling the air with dust. Through the chaos, she heard the Krivith shouting in their strange language. Arya reached her transport as secondary explosions from ruptured power conduits lit up the garage. The quantum engine hummed to life as she sealed the cockpit. Through the settling dust, she saw Hammond's true form staggering to its feet, those alien eyes fixed on her with cold fury. The transport shot out of the garage like a missile, quantum drive screaming as she pushed it to maximum acceleration. Behind her, the facility was in chaos, but she knew this was just the beginning. The Krivith were about to learn that humanity wouldn't be conquered quietly. As her transport disappeared into the night sky, Arya activated a secure quantum channel. The evidence was about to reach every major military command center on Earth. The silent invasion was over. The real war was about to begin. United we stand. 3 months after Arya Valentine's escape from the compromised intelligence facility, the world had changed beyond recognition. Her revelation of the Krivith infiltration had initially met with skepticism, but that changed when the aliens abandoned their human disguises worldwide, believing their position was compromised beyond recovery. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez stood at the window of the newly constructed Earth Defense Command Center, buried deep within the Rocky Mountains. The facility represented humanity's first truly global military initiative, born from necessity in desperation. "Status report on the Shanghai defense grid," he asked, his weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass. Lieutenant Raj Sharma consulted his quantum tablet. "Online and operational, sir. That completes the Asian Continental Shield Network. Dr. Patel's team is already working on upgrades to counter the Krivith's latest weapon signatures." Rodriguez nodded, remembering the chaos of those first weeks after the revelation. The Krivith, realizing their careful infiltration had been exposed, launched simultaneous strikes against Earth's major military installations. But humanity had surprised them. Instead of fracturing under pressure, Earth's nations had united with unprecedented speed. And the orbital defense platforms? The Japanese-Brazilian coalition completed the final installation yesterday. "We now have full coverage of Earth's orbital space." A holographic display materialized in the center of the command center, showing Earth's layered defense network. It was a testament to human ingenuity, technology developed and deployed in months that should have taken decades. "Sir," a voice called out. "Officer Valentine is here for the briefing." Rodriguez turned to see Arya Valentine entering the command center. She'd recovered from her injuries during the escape, but her eyes carried the weight of someone who'd seen too much. Her warning had saved countless lives, giving Earth precious time to prepare. The Krivith are adapting to our defenses faster than anticipated, Arya reported without preamble. Analysis suggests they're bringing in technology from other conquered worlds. But there's something else, evidence of dissent within their empire. This caught Rodriguez's attention. Explain. Not all species under Krivith control serve willingly. We've detected encrypted transmissions suggesting an underground resistance movement spanning multiple star systems. If we could make contact, it could change the entire dynamic of this war, Rodriguez finished. He studied the holographic display, where red indicators showed confirmed Krivith fleet positions beyond Mars' orbit. Their main invasion force had been gathering for weeks. The command center's quantum AI interface suddenly pulsed with urgent data. Multiple quantum signatures detected, the AI announced. Krivith fleet moving into attack formation. Estimated time to engagement, 6 hours. Rodriguez's expression hardened. This was what they'd been preparing for. Alert all defense grid commanders. Begin civilian evacuation to the underground shelters. And get me a direct line to the Global Defense Council. As the command center erupted into controlled activity, Arya studied the tactical displays. They're using a penetration formation we haven't seen before. Three-dimensional, with what appears to be some kind of quantum shielding technology. Then we'll adapt, Rodriguez said firmly. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our resources. It's our ability to innovate, to find solutions where none seemed possible. The next few hours were a blur of preparation. Earth's combined military forces moved into defensive positions. The orbital platforms charged their main weapons. In underground bunkers across the planet, billions of civilians waited and hoped. Rodriguez stood before the assembled holographic images of Earth's military leaders. Despite their different uniforms and languages, they were united in purpose. The Krivith believe they know us, he began. They've studied our history, our conflicts, our divisions. But they've fundamentally misunderstood something crucial about humanity. We don't just fight harder when backed into a corner, we fight smarter. He gestured to the tactical displays. Our quantum shield technology may be newer than theirs, but it's designed specifically to counter their weapons. Our orbital platforms may be fewer in number, but they're positioned for maximum strategic advantage. And unlike the Krivith, who rely on technological superiority, we've prepared for asymmetric warfare. The first impacts of the Krivith attack shook the command center. Above, their massive ships began engaging the orbital defense grid. But Earth was ready. Launch Operation Prometheus, Rodriguez ordered. Across the planet, hidden installations activated. Quantum-powered electromagnetic pulses, designed based on observed weaknesses in Krivith technology, reached into space. Several enemy ships suddenly lost power, their superior technology turned against them by human ingenuity. Second wave, prepare for counterattack, Rodriguez commanded. And send the transmission package to the suspected resistance frequencies. Let's show the galaxy that humanity doesn't stand alone. As battles raged in orbit and Earth's defenders moved to engage the enemy, Arya Valentine monitored the encrypted channels. Suddenly, her quantum interface lit up with new signatures. "Sir," she called out, her voice tight with excitement. "We're receiving responses from within the Krivith fleet. Multiple ships are showing signs of internal conflict. The resistance is real, and they're taking action." Rodriguez allowed himself a small smile. The Krivith had expected to find a divided planet of primitive warriors. Instead, they'd awakened a unified human race ready to fight for its survival, and potentially spark a revolution that would shake their empire to its foundations. The battle for Earth had begun, but it was only the first chapter in a much larger story. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore, they were fighting to prove that freedom was worth protecting, no matter the odds. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Innovation War. The quantum laboratory deep beneath the Indian Ocean hummed with energy as Dr. Priya Patel calibrated the experimental defense matrix. 3 months had passed since the first major battle for Earth, and while humanity had survived the initial assault, the war was far from over. Quantum resonance at 98%, her AI assistant reported. Ready for full-spectrum analysis. Priya's fingers danced across the holographic interface, adjusting variables with practiced precision. At 32, she had revolutionized quantum shield technology, but the Krivatha's latest weapons were pushing even her innovations to their limits. Begin test sequence, she ordered, watching as the experimental shield sparkled to life around the test chamber. The air itself seemed to ripple with contained energy. The lab's massive doors slid open, admitting Admiral Rodriguez and Arya Valentine. Both looked exhausted but determined. The ongoing guerrilla war against the Krivath had taken its toll on everyone. Please tell me you have good news, Doctor, Rodriguez said, studying the shield's quantum patterns. Priya allowed herself a small smile. Better than good. We've cracked their phase shift technology. More importantly, we've figured out how to improve it. She gestured to the quantum display, where complex equations floated in three-dimensional space. The Krivatha's shields work by shifting matter partially out of phase with normal spacetime. Impressive, but predictable. We've developed a method to create quantum irregularities in their field matrices. In English, Dr. Arya requested, though her tactical implants were already analyzing the data. We can make their own shields tear them apart, Priya explained. But that's not the best part. Watch this. She typed a command sequence, and the experimental shield began to pulse with a strange, almost organic rhythm. We've learned to adapt. Their weapons get stronger, so do our defenses. It's a learning system, using principles we discovered by studying their own technology. Rodriguez's eyes widened as he understood the implications. You've made our shields self-evolving. Nature's greatest defense mechanism is adaptation, Priya said. We've simply accelerated the process through quantum computing. The Krivath rely on technological superiority, but they've stopped innovating. Their empire's too vast, too set in its ways. A warning klaxon interrupted their discussion. Arya's tactical implants flashed urgent data across her vision. Multiple Krivath battlegroups detected entering the inner solar system. They're using some kind of new stealth technology, our outer sensors barely caught them. Rodriguez immediately activated his command interface. How long until they reach Earth? 2 hours, maybe less. They're moving faster than anything we've seen before. Priya turned back to her quantum controls. The new shield system isn't fully tested. We'd planned for another week of trials. The Krivath didn't get that memo, Arya said grimly. Can it be deployed? Priya hesitated for a moment, then straightened her shoulders. Yes. It's risky, but we're out of options. I'll need access to the global defense grid. Rodriguez nodded. Done. Lieutenant Sharma, get Dr. Patel whatever she needs. And contact our allies in the resistance. If we're testing new technology, we need to coordinate our efforts. The next hour was controlled chaos as Priya's team worked to integrate their experimental system into Earth's defensive network. Across the planet, quantum shields shifted and adapted, incorporating the new protocols. In orbit, the combined Earth resistance fleet moved into position. The alliance with former Krivath subjects had proved invaluable, bringing both advanced technology and crucial intelligence about their common enemy. Shield integration complete, Priya announced, her voice tense but controlled. The system is already learning, adapting its frequencies to counter known Krivath weapon signatures. Rodriguez studied the tactical display, where red dots representing the enemy fleet grew larger by the minute. How many ships? Over 300, Arya reported. Twice the size of their first attack force. They're not taking any chances this time. Neither are we, Rodriguez said firmly. Dr. Patel, start the quantum pulse sequence. Let's show them how much we've learned. The battle began with a fury that made their first engagement seem like a skirmish. Krivith warships filled the sky, their weapons transforming space into a deadly light show. But Earth's defenses held. Priya watched in satisfaction as her quantum shields adapted and evolved, each enemy attack making them stronger. The Krivith, expecting to find the same defenses they'd faced before, were completely unprepared. Their flagship is showing shield instabilities, Arya reported, her tactical displays streaming data. The quantum irregularities are working exactly as designed. Rodriguez smiled grimly. Signal the resistance fleet. Begin Operation Thunderbolt. Across the battlefield, Earth and Resistance ships launched a coordinated attack. Their weapons, enhanced by Priya's breakthrough, tore through the supposedly impenetrable Krivith defenses. They're pulling back, Arya announced as the enemy fleet began to retreat. Multiple ships showing critical damage. Their entire attack strategy relied on shield superiority. A strategy we just rendered obsolete, Priya said quietly, watching her quantum displays. The shield system was still learning, still evolving. Each engagement made it stronger, more adaptive. Rodriguez turned to her. Dr. Patel, I believe you've just changed the course of this war. But the Krivith won't stop coming. They can't afford to let Earth become an example of successful resistance. Then we'll keep innovating, Priya replied, her mind already racing with new possibilities. They think their technology makes them invincible. But they've forgotten something fundamental about the universe. What's that? Arya asked. Evolution doesn't care about empires. It favors those who can adapt. And humanity? We've turned adaptation into an art form. As the Krivith fleet disappeared into quantum space, Earth's defenders began preparing for the next battle. They had proven that humanity could stand against the galaxy's greatest empire. But more importantly, they had shown that the key to victory wasn't just about having the best technology, it was about having the creativity and courage to use it in ways no one had imagined before. The innovation war had begun, and humanity was just getting started. Breaking the chain. The bridge of the Earth Alliance flagship, Defiant, hummed with activity as Admiral Rodriguez studied the holographic map of Krivith-controlled space. After 6 months of defensive victories, humanity was ready to take the fight to the enemy. Resistance intelligence confirms minimal defenses around the Centauri colonies, Arya Valentine reported, her tactical implants processing real-time data streams. The Krivith never expected anyone to strike so deep into their territory. Commander Zarakuri, their lead resistance contact from the Andromedian species, stepped forward. Her crystalline skin caught the starlight as she gestured to specific points on the map. My people have waited generations for this moment. The Centauri system houses one of the largest slave labor populations in the Empire. Rodriguez nodded grimly. Then it's time we break their chains. Dr. Patel, status of the stealth systems. Priya looked up from her quantum interface. The reverse-engineered Krivith technology is fully integrated with our ships. Combined with our adaptive shields, we should be able to penetrate their defense grid undetected. The Liberation Fleet represented Earth's first major offensive operation. 50 ships, crewed by both humans and resistance fighters, equipped with humanity's latest innovations. But more importantly, they carried hope, something the Krivith Empire had spent centuries trying to crush. Begin Operation Thunderbreak, Rodriguez commanded. The fleet jumped into quantum space, emerging hours later in the Centauri system. 3 habitable worlds, each hosting millions of enslaved beings from dozens of species, hung in the void before them. No alarm signals, Arya reported, monitoring enemy communications. Their automated defenses haven't detected us. Stealth systems holding. Zara's crystalline features shifted in what humans had learned was an expression of fierce joy. The ground resistance is ready. They've been preparing for this since we first contacted them. The plan was ambitious but carefully crafted. While the fleet engaged the minimal orbital defenses, special operations teams would strike key facilities on each world, coordinating with local resistance cells to free the slave populations. "Launch the strike teams," Rodriguez ordered. Shuttles slipped away from the Earth ships, carrying mixed crews of humans and resistance fighters. Among them was a team led by Lieutenant Raj Sharma, carrying Priya's latest innovation, quantum disruptors designed to disable Krivith control systems. The battle began with surgical precision. The few Krivith ships on patrol were disabled before they could raise the alarm. On the planets below, strike teams moved like ghosts through security grids, their adapted stealth technology rendering them invisible. "First facility secured," Raja's voice crackled over the quantum comm, "You should see this, Admiral." The Krivith weren't just using slave labor, they were harvesting quantum energy directly from living beings. Rodriguez's jaw tightened. "Document everything. The galaxy needs to know what's been happening here." The liberation spread like wildfire. As each facility fell, freed slaves joined the fight, their knowledge of Krivith systems proving invaluable. Species that had been enemies under Krivith rule found common cause in their shared bid for freedom. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Arya suddenly called out. "Large Krivith fleet entering the system. They must have had hidden sensors we missed." "How many ships?" Rodriguez demanded. "At least 200. They're coming in fast." But the Admiral smiled. "Right on schedule. Signal the resistance fleet. Execute Phase 2. From quantum space emerged another fleet, resistance ships that had been gathering in secret for months, led by commanders who had once served the Krivith unwillingly. The enemy fleet found itself caught between two forces, facing weapons and tactics they'd never encountered. "Their command and control is fragmenting," Arya reported, watching the battle unfold. "The adaptive algorithms are tearing through their communications networks." On the planets below, the revolution had taken on a life of its own. Millions of slaves, seeing their oppressors' power broken, rose up in coordinated rebellion. Krivith control centers fell one after another. "Admiral," Zara called out, her voice thick with emotion. "The main resistance leader on Centauri Prime is broadcasting. The central government complex has fallen. The planet is free." Similar reports began flooding in from the other worlds. The Krivith fleet, realizing their defeat, attempted to retreat, but found their quantum drives disabled by Priya's latest countermeasures. "Demand their surrender," Rodriguez ordered. "Offer them the same choice they never gave others, submit or be destroyed." The response came within minutes. The Krivith fleet, for the first time in their empire's history, surrendered to an inferior force. As the dust settled, Rodriguez stood with his command staff, watching freed slaves celebrate across 3 worlds. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "Word of this victory will spread. Other systems will rise up." "The Krivitha's greatest weapon was fear," Zara added. "Fear of their technology, their numbers, their cruelty. But humanity has shown the galaxy something stronger, hope. And innovation," Priya said, studying data from the battle. "Each engagement teaches us more about their systems, makes our countermeasures stronger." Aria's tactical displays showed dozens of quantum communications spreading across Krivith space. "The revolution is already spreading. 3 other systems have begun uprising in the past hour alone." Rodriguez nodded. The liberation of the Centauri system wasn't just a military victory, it was a symbol. Humanity had proven that the Krivith could be beaten, that their technological superiority meant nothing in the face of determination, creativity, and unity. The chain of oppression that had bound the galaxy for centuries was breaking, one link at a time. And humanity, the Empire's newest enemy, had become freedom's greatest champion. The war for the galaxy's soul had entered a new phase, and there would be no turning back. Dawn of a new era. The Krivith homeworld loomed before the combined fleet of Earth and Resistance forces, its violet skies churning with electromagnetic storms. After a year of revolution spreading across the galaxy, the final battle for freedom had come to the Empire's doorstep. Status report: Admiral Rodriguez commanded from the bridge of the upgraded Defiant. The ship, like the rest of the fleet, bore the scars of countless battles across dozens of star systems. Krivith defense grid is even stronger than our intelligence suggested, Arya reported, her tactical implants processing vast streams of data. They've consolidated their remaining forces here. Over 1,000 capital ships, and some kind of new quantum weapon we've never seen before. Priya's fingers flew across her console as she analyzed the readings. Their defensive technology has evolved. They've finally learned to adapt, just like we do. Too little, too late, Commander Zara said, her crystalline form pulsing with anticipation. Representatives from 20 formerly enslaved species now stood on the Defiance Bridge, united in purpose. Rodriguez studied the tactical display, where red indicators showed the massive Krivith fleet arrayed before them. The combined Liberation fleet was larger, comprising ships from every freed system, but the enemy had the advantage of fighting above their homeworld. They're broadcasting, Arya announced. System-wide transmission. A holographic image materialized on the bridge, a Krivith High Commander, its iridescent form radiating cold authority. You have disrupted the natural order, it stated in the Universal Translator's flat tones. For millennia, the Krivith Empire has maintained peace through strength. Your rebellion brings only chaos. You've maintained slavery through fear, Rodriguez replied firmly. But fear has lost its power. Every system you've oppressed now stands against you. And what do you offer in its place? Your human concepts of freedom? Democracy? The galaxy requires order. No, Rodriguez countered. The galaxy requires justice. One last chance, surrender, and face trial before a coalition of all species. Continue fighting, and be destroyed. The High Commander's multifaceted eyes flashed. We are Krivith. We do not surrender. The transmission cut off as the enemy fleet surged forward. But the Liberation forces were ready. Months of battles had honed their coordination to perfection. Earth ships fought alongside vessels from dozens of worlds, their different technologies complementing each other in ways the Krivith had never imagined possible. They're deploying the quantum weapon, Arya warned. A massive energy signature erupted from the planet's surface, distorting space itself. Now, Dr. Patel. Rodriguez ordered. Priya activated her latest creation, a quantum resonance field that turned the enemy's weapon against itself. The massive energy discharge reflected back, overwhelming the Krivith's planetary shields. All ships, execute Operation Unity, Rodriguez commanded. The Liberation fleet split into predetermined attack groups, each targeting specific weaknesses in the enemy formation. Humans provided the adaptive technology, while their allies contributed intimate knowledge of Krivith tactics and tech. The battle raged for hours. Ships from both sides fell, their destruction lighting up the violet skies. But slowly, inevitably, the Liberation forces pushed forward. The Krivith fought with desperate fury, but they faced an enemy unlike any before, not just humans, but a united galaxy fighting for freedom. Their fleet is fragmenting, Arya reported, watching enemy ships break formation. Ground-based resistance forces are attacking their control centers. The planetary defense grid is failing. Zara's crystalline form pulsed with fierce joy. After 1,000 years of oppression, the Krivith Empire falls not to a single conqueror, but to the united will of all its victims. A massive explosion lit up the planet's atmosphere as the main defense control center fell to resistance forces. Across the battlefield, Krivith ships began powering down their weapons. Admiral, Arya called out, we're receiving surrender signals from multiple command ships. The High Command bunker has fallen. It's over. Rodriguez stood silent for a moment, watching the Krivith homeworld through the view screen. "No," he said quietly. "It's just beginning. The hard part comes next, building something better in place of what we've torn down." In the days that followed, representatives from every freed world gathered to begin that process. The Galactic Coalition was born, founded on principles of mutual respect, shared defense, and technological cooperation. Humanity, the newest spacefaring species, had helped forge a new era of unity. The Krivith, stripped of their empire but not destroyed, were confined to their homeworld under Coalition supervision. Their technology was studied, their crimes documented, their history preserved as a reminder of freedom's cost. 1 month after the final battle, Admiral Rodriguez stood with his command staff in the newly established Coalition headquarters on neutral ground, a space station orbiting a distant star. "The galaxy's entering uncharted territory," he said, watching ships from dozens of species dock at the station. "We'll face new challenges, new threats. But we'll face them together." Priya nodded, already collaborating with scientists from other worlds. "Unity through diversity. Our different perspectives make us stronger." The Krivith never understood that, Arya added. "They saw differences as weaknesses to be eliminated. We saw them as strengths to be combined." Zara turned her crystalline face toward the star-filled viewport. "My people have a saying, the strongest chain is forged from different metals. Humanity helped us understand its truth." As the Coalition fleet patrolled the peaceful skies, Rodriguez reflected on how far they'd come. The galaxy had been transformed, not by conquest, but by cooperation. Not by fear, but by hope. The age of empires was over. The dawn of unity had begun. And somewhere in the vast cosmos, other threats might wait. But they would find not a collection of divided species, but a galaxy united, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. Together.